Oh, Starfield. 2 years ago, Bethesda released a 45-minute preview of Starfield a couple months before it came out, and today I thought it would be fun to go over this 45-minute preview and sort of judge with the knowledge of hindsight what went wrong and what went right. I do not have a favorable opinion of this game. I made a couple videos on it already. Now, in this video, I do go pretty harsh on Bethesda, but please know I'm not talking directly about the developers and the hardworking artists and programmers and whatever who doubtlessly put their heart and soul into this game. I'm talking mostly about management, mostly about Todd Howard, and mostly in regards to how they handled criticism after the fact. So anyway, this is a lighthearted, casual video. I don't say anything too deep or profound or anything, and I just thought it'd be fun with the knowledge of hindsight to tear into Bethesda. And if you like Starfield, good for you. And I do mean that genuinely, because it just didn't click for me, and I wish it did, but if it did for you, no judgment. Anyway, that's gonna be the video, so I'm the Rat Shepherd. I hope you enjoy. Thanks.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining us today, and welcome to Bethesda Game Studios. We love creating these worlds and playing in them just as much as you do. And throughout all that time, we'd often talk about and dream up the space game. What if we could take that feeling of being who you want to be and exploring a new world, but set it in space, where you weren't really limited in where you could go or what you could do? And that is Starfield.
So Todd Howard, he is such a great salesman, because presented like that, that sounds amazing. Even coming 75% of the way close to that idea sounds really good. And this is why I initially was a bit hyped, even against my own skepticism, but it did not turn out that way.
Starfield is our first new universe in over 25 years, but it's still a Bethesda RPG through and through, where you step into a new world and you get that feeling of unlimited possibilities.
That feeling of unlimited possibilities worked on me for at least maybe the first 10 hours or so of the game, when I was still under the illusion of having not seen everything. But unfortunately, very quickly you see everything, and exploration in this game is by far the worst in any of their games. It was the one thing I thought they would do right, because consistently that's always been their strengths. And wow, yeah, that is just not the case. You have a lot of the same, just with slightly different color grading on the planets.
It's over 1,000 worlds.
And over 1,000 worlds. When it was first announced that the game would have 1,000 worlds, that sunk my excitement tremendously, because that's it's like an arbitrary number. Why 1,000? It would have been so much more realistic to do. It'd be so much more feasible to do a dozen, at most, well-crafted planets, and you could have your generative stuff in the game as well. And I still held out hope. It's like, maybe they do find a way to make 1,000 planets interesting, because if only 10% of those planets have life, then yeah, a lot of that is like barren, but that does sort of add to the feeling of loneliness. But no, they really should have limited it to just a solar system.
We realistically simulate the galaxy around you.
See, this makes it sound like it's No Man's Sky, where it's like a spherical object that you could just like go to. But really, as demonstrated by plenty of others, those planets in the sky, they're just like 2D sprites that have nothing else to them. And then you land on a planet via a loading screen, which I'm not inherently against, and it sort of just generates a certain amount of square footage in a flat plane. So these planets, I mean, I'm sure they exist in like a data point sense, right? Like a mathematical way, a game logic way. But see, it's like a technical truth that misses really what the truth that people were expecting, which is like truly explorable planets, not 100 square areas to explore separated by loading screens.
Our next generation lighting model uses real-time global illumination to light the world based on the type of star and the makeup of the planet's atmosphere.
The lighting is good. This is a very pretty game, and that is what sucked me in as long as I played it. It is consistently a very pretty game, so kudos to that.
That usually involves exploring an area you've landed in, do a mission, and maybe even stumble upon something unexpected.
One of the biggest critiques I have though of this game is that, oh, I'm going to stumble on something unexpected. I was expecting a bit of repetition and all the pitfalls of non-handcrafted content. These locations, there's only like a dozen, it feels like, that you could find throughout the entire galaxy. And they are, I can't believe it, like actually often the same spots. Like you'd think that it'd be almost like the Chalice Dungeons in Bloodborne, where it's like, okay, yeah, I have an aesthetic, but like the rooms are going to be different. The layout is going to be a little different. The loot and whatever will be different. But no, we're talking about you could find the same graffiti and handwritten notes in like these like abandoned mines or whatever the fuck they are. That when you realize that, that is what killed my interest and what killed a lot of people's interest. When you realize like, oh, not only is it just like randomized content, which isn't really handcrafted, it is like a very limited amount of point of interest content that which is insane. It's such an easy, I have no idea why they did it this way.
When you're done exploring, you can walk back or fast travel to your ship. Let's head out.
What also really annoys me about the spaceship is I don't know why they needed a loading screen to get into your spaceship. I am so okay with most of the loading screens in the game, or at least that idea conceptually. But in the year 2023, man, like needing to press a button to get inside the cockpit, like, dude, the ship is already there. Like, why couldn't you figure out that particular thing? This game has so many loading screens, and
your ship is your home for you and your crew. And like many of the spaces in our game, it has a slightly retro and analog touch, a bit of lo-fi rather than sci-fi.
The visuals and the art design to me are definitely the strongest aspects of the game. I really do like the NASA punk aesthetic, even though I might have a disagreement on calling it punk because there's nothing really punk about it, but that's like a semantic thing. I do like how chunky it is. I wish the spacesuits weren't as chunky, but that's fine.
But for now, we'll plot a course to the Alpha Centauri system where we can find the city of New Atlantis.
A very annoying thing about this game that is insane that they didn't put in is that, okay, we're going to New Atlantis. You have to, as a player, memorize what star system is connected to the major cities. There's not like a list of like, all right, there's a list in my menu of major cities that I could visit in the game. No, you have to be like, where is this city? What star system? And I ended up like clicking a bunch of stars, being like, no, that's not it. It's like so disorganized, which is such an easy mistake, such an easy thing to avoid. Just other games have this. Why is this so disorganized? It makes traveling just so tedious.
Welcome to UC Space. Maintain your current course while we scan your ship's cargo.
I don't even get me started on the contraband system. It's such a weird system. They will notice if you stole an apple from light years away. I can't even.
As soon as you land in a city like New Atlantis, your eyes are guided upwards to just these boundless, vast buildings.
It's the biggest city we've ever made, not just in size, but also in the amount of custom art, crowds, and quests.
A really annoying thing about Bethesda's design philosophy is that they do not match up what is in lore with what the player sees. I guess most games don't do this. Like, for example, I love Night City in Cyberpunk 2077. That city in real life, if it existed in real life, would be like 100 times bigger, something you really can't do in a video game. But it does feel dense enough, and it does sort of give you that illusion. All games are illusions, all art is an illusion, but games especially so. It's all smoke and mirrors. This is apparently the largest city they've ever made, and they made the mistake of making it the capital of humankind. If this was in the game's lore a like moderate sized city or something even smaller, then that illusion would remain, because it's like, okay, yeah, this is like not humanity's biggest city or major population center. It's still like on the outskirts. And even though the city itself is smaller than what would be even a smaller real life city, then it makes sense. But this city is really small, separated by a lot of loading screens, and does not justify itself. And the other cities are actually worse.
By the time you meet them, Constellation is sort of seen as this mythical group. Most people don't even know they exist anymore.
Most people don't even know they exist anymore, even though their embassy is in the heart of New Atlantis. Just kind of stupid. Why do this? These are such easy mistakes to avoid. Just why? Like, why is it the middle of New Atlantis? Why couldn't it be somewhere else if most people don't believe they exist? They're literally right here. The city has like 100 people in it, man.
The capital of the Freestar Collective is Aquila City.
I'm not sure if it was done on purpose or what, but I do find it very amusing that Aquila, basically the libertarian city, has dirt roads. I know it's supposed to be cowboy western themed, but wacky libertarians who hate taxes and whatever. It's like y'all are trucking in mud and dirt in the far future for no reason. But Aquila is, I think, my favorite city in the game to hang out with. Also, though, however, it doesn't make sense because the planet itself has higher gravity than Earth. Doesn't make much sense to put a city on because that would put so much extra strain on people. To my knowledge, adapting to lower Gs is easier than higher Gs. I mean, these people would probably be like really buff. I wonder if you'd think their soldiers would be more deadly and more strong because they have to exert more force to move around, but these ideas are never explored. They just wanted to do a cowboy town in Aquila and a unironic portrayal of Starship Trooper society in New Atlantis, and they wanted to do cyberpunk at home with Neon.
Neon started out as a fishing platform, but is now known throughout the Settled Systems as a pleasure city.
Neon is a glorified strip mall. It is so disappointing. My expectations are so low for this game, and I know it would not meet Night City at all, but it is so tame. That's like another thing. This game is rated M, and not everything has to be gory and sexual and whatever, but if you're advertising a city to be full of depravity and sex and drugs, like it is comical. Like you have those people in the main bar, like the one bar, not literally with the one bar, but like the main dance bar thing, club. I don't go to clubs, so club with the people in the suits, and like this is so sexless. Like what am I watching? Is this like, I can't even believe it. It's like very much, yeah, these guys, like this is like the most edgy thing they could come up with. Like look how ridiculous. Like come on, you don't have to show me a tit or nothing. Like I understand you're trying to like not go totally the Cyberpunk 2077 route, but like, really? This is like what you call the Sin City, the lawless city? You have some dudes in this costume sort of like jiggling, I guess? Oh, man.
In Starfield, we're pushing our cities and settlements further than we ever have before.
That's embarrassing in retrospect. That is so, this is the best y'all got? Oh my God.
So, ready to get out there?
I was. But the funny thing about the cities too is much like in America, the parking lot for the ships is like vastly bigger than any walkable space within the city. So that is both eerily accurate, but also not, I think, what they're actually going for either when you look at the map and it's like, yep, most of this is a parking lot.
Backgrounds give you a bit of backstory and start you out with 3 basic skills. What's great about backgrounds is you never know when yours is going to come in handy.
I was excited about backgrounds, and I thought I did have reasonable expectations regarding them. I didn't expect them to radically change the game. They have a lot of them, and you know how it goes with realistic possibilities, and game design is hard. However, I forget which background I picked. It wasn't Chef, even though that was tempting. Mine, I did not encounter a background specific dialogue in my playthrough once. Maybe I missed it, but that's pretty annoying. Really added nothing to my playthrough except just like some initial stats. And also annoying about the backgrounds is that some stats are just better than others. For example, the jetpack one that is like with the soldier one, I think that one is a pretty useful perk point to have immediately. So it's not balanced at all and doesn't add anything to the RPG aspect. Just a missed opportunity.
Fine. I probably should stick to professionals anyway, given what happened the last time.
Also, just pausing here, unrelated to the backgrounds, they still suck so hard on animation and facial expressions and all that stuff. It really looks bad. Having just played Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, which is a game made by way less people with way less money, it blows Starfield out the water. It really is unexcusable. I'm not expecting Cyberpunk 2077 levels of first-person cutscenes here because they are exemplary in that regard. But just like watching that little bit was just, it's painful to watch. It's like, what are you doing?
We took what we loved about skills and perks from our previous games and put them together to create an all-new skill system. Ranks are unlocked by completing challenges associated with that skill.
The leveling up system is also needlessly atrocious because, say, to level up a skill, right, you have to, say, kill a certain amount of people with a shotgun, but you can only level up when it's time to do that skill. So it's really cumbersome. You end up playing the game in an inorganic way because even though, like, with ship combat, even though you've blown up quite a few ships, now to, like, level up the next thing, you have to, like, do it again. And it is just so cumbersome. A lot of them are just simply percentage point increases, which is very boring. Cyberpunk also had this issue initially, but they rectified it in Phantom Liberty where they revamped the skill tree and made it all actually fucking interesting. But unlike Cyberpunk, 2 years later, the game has barely changed. They barely update it. They're mostly radio silent. And that's like why I feel more at ease with shit talking Bethesda, because they're a pretentious load of fucks who think that their shit don't stink, versus other developers who are more receptive to criticism.
I like the xenosociology skill because it lets you mind control aliens.
A skill that will like never come in handy really in the game because you're only encountering these aliens while mindlessly sprinting through vast expanses of nothing. So when does it come up? Not really. You might try it once just to see because you have it and it's like, oh, okay. But is it useful? Is it interesting? Not at all.
My favorite part about being stealthy is slowly creeping through vents like you're in a movie.
Giant fucking man-sized vents that don't make any sense within the context of the environment. The stealth sections also suck. Sorry, this reaction is as shallow and derivative as the game itself. And I don't really apologize, even though I just said sorry. I'm going to put in as much effort into a video as a game puts effort into making it. And this is mostly for fun.
And then jumping out and springing on people?
There's also no stabbing animation when you like that. It cuts to black right before she stabs the guy, but it's just like a normal attack. It's not even like a cool attack. It's just like a normal attack that will do a little extra damage. So very clever editing. This entire video, they never lie. They never truly mislead, but it's a lot of subtle tricks, very smart, subtle marketing tricks to be truthful in a way that maximizes sales, which obviously all video game previews like this, they're advertisements. Let's be real with ourselves. This is an ad, but still, I like video games. I like to see things under the hood.
Our team worked hard to strike a balance between fun and realism. We studied data from NASA and a multitude of other sources to help us make the world feel believable. From the way we approached planetary atmospheres to the way we placed biomes based on the planet's distance from the sun.
Also very funny to hear in retrospect because there are a lot of inconsistencies with the game. There will be airless planets with plant life on them. I don't know, it's all very inconsistent.
Once we had created a grounded world, we could start looking at all the things that make that world fun.
And sadly, while the creature designs are fun, they're all like some kind of bug or reptile. There's no like mammal-looking ones. And the creatures do appear on multiple planets, which would be fine if it was like a solar system or something where you could sort of explain it by like invasive species. But yeah, the creature designs are also like, well, that's another bug thing. Why didn't they do animals or more sophisticated animal behavior? I have no idea.
Ultimately, It's about rewarding your curiosity. Because whether it's on the surface of a planet, the alleys of a city, or the vastness of space, you never know what you'll find.
A lot of what you find is nothing, which could be cool conceptually if they approach that idea right, loneliness and emptiness and all that fun stuff. But there really is nothing. There is like a dozen points of interest that are basically the same and a lot of sprinting. And they did later in a patch add a dune buggy thing, but that doesn't address the problem of that there's like a lot of nothing in between of the interesting parts, and the interesting parts aren't even that interesting. I just don't know what they were thinking. The engine that they had was not suited for this game. I don't know why they made this kind of game while using the same engine.
Every spaceport has a ship technician where you can purchase, sell, and modify ships.
Anything I can help you with?
Shipbuilding is very fun, but also misses the mark in some annoying ways. So the big thing is different ports have different ship parts, which is like fine on its own. It makes it worthwhile to explore and visit out all the different markets and whatever, but you cannot buy individual ship parts and keep them in a garage or something. So when you're building a ship and you're like trying to find the right parts for your ship, sometimes you just have to buy whatever they got to make the ship flyable. You can't have a collection of parts that you've collected from different places, which doesn't make any sense at all. Not to mention that there's very limited ways to actually change the interior of the ships. There's very little ways to modify it. Only a small handful of habitats and other things. So at first it's like, wow, yeah, this is pretty robust. It's like playing with Legos, but with a spaceship in a game. And I had a lot of fun with it, making designs, but encountering that hurdle of like not finding the right parts, having to travel to 5 different spots, buying a part I don't need to exchange it for a part I actually wanted, and realizing that, oh yeah, all the interior parts are basically identical. There's like maybe 5. I could be wrong, but not enough variety. And so also a big disappointment. And this is probably the most fun I had with the game, was building a ship. The ships are also pointless, but I'll cover that when we get to the ship combat section in this video.
Maybe you start off with a speedy fighter that's perfect for bounty hunting. Then you might round out your ship roster with a hulking space freighter to run cargo missions.
And that's another thing. In my playthrough, I never really noticed a difference between piloting something small and fast versus piloting something large and slow. It all kind of feels the same, and combat ends up being the same. And you're not really flying your ship much because you're just in a fishbowl. You're just like in this segregated liminal space outside of a planet. So you're not really flying the ship. It's just like a home base that you fast travel to and from. And misses the mark on what this game could have been. It misses the mark so hard that mods cannot fix these aspects of the game. And it's why the modding scene has died down tremendously. Also, a lot of these ship parts, they're ugly as fuck. That's just like a personal preference, not really a critique. Just I never was able to make something I found cool looking, even under the NASA punk aesthetic. Just very clunky and about it.
Each companion comes with their own valuable skills for your ships and outposts, as well as unique quest lines. Eventually, some friendships might blossom into romance.
I don't know that I've ever really loved anyone except you.
And
Samco was so much wasted potential. I'm blanking on the voice actor's name because I love his voice. Like, I'm a shallow man, okay? Just give me a nice voice actor to do a role and I'm going to be invested in. I mean, playing Avowed, the same actor who did Garrus did the Blue Fish Man. And, the writing in that game isn't that great either. But you know what? Blue Fish Man had the voice of Garrus, and I that's enough for me. But Sam Coe, his entire personality is I have a kid and I am like the grandson of the founder of the city. I'm a sad cowboy. And that's it. That all his. And Sarah, she's just a liberal and I hate her.
Take Bosco, for instance.
He's designed around the core basics of a NASA machine.
Please avoid getting shot. You might die.
Bosco just wants to be K2 from Andor and Rogue One so bad. The autistic android who speaks very directly. And I think out of all the companions, I think Vasco is my favorite, but at the same time, he does not quite live up to the potential. I keep saying that like a broken record, but this is what the video is about, just how Starfield, so much potential, and potential means nothing. Ideas are worthless. It's all about how you enact these ideas. And while I wish Vasco was written more like K2, he's not, and here we are.
We've extended that sense of control to ship combat. It's not about just hitting your triggers to fire your weapons.
Spoiler, it kind of is. I know, as he explains in a bit, like, yeah, you could change how much power is directed to the shields and to the weapons and to your engines. Very cool in concept, but really it is just like you hold down the triggers or whatever button it is to shoot until the enemies die. And that is really it. There's no place to evade or go to. There's no like intricate dogfighting. It's just kind of like you're always close enough to be shot at or to shoot at others. And that's kind of it. And space combat is definitely the most inconsistent thing. In fact, on the difficulty selection, there is a different difficulty for like normal game and then space game, because I think they knew that they'd have issues with it, of the progression not being the same. All this sounds so good in concept. All these concepts are really great, and even if they miss the mark a little bit, taken as a whole, it'd still be pretty decent. I was expecting this game to be a solid 7 out of 10, and for a lot of people, it is a 7 out of 10. But for me, this game is less than the sum of its parts, where like on an individual scale, a lot of these are just fine, kinda, but taken all together, and yeah, it's actually a worse experience.
Boosting power to your engines will make your ship faster.
But faster to go where? To go where? Where are you using the speed? You're not dodging lasers, really. There's like a boost, I guess. Like, come on, like they didn't think ahead of this at all.
But you can also take a more personal approach by docking with the enemy vessel and boarding their ship.
And these zero-G sections are really fun. I've tried a lot in the game to purposely take out their grav drive and therefore have the zero-G stuff on purpose. Maybe this is a skill issue on my part. Maybe I'm actually the one fucking up here. But when I would do that, often the gravity would still be on, and the zero-G sections are the most interesting parts of the game because it's like the most novel. It's like, yeah, cool. Lack of gravity is really, really fun, but I couldn't do it often enough. And in the storyline and the side quests, there's only a handful of times where it's ever used. So I don't know.
When I'm playing, I generally go crazy. I definitely go like the more piracy routes. I want to take over ships. I'm gonna board ships. I'm like, this is now mine. I steal all the sandwiches and put them, in my cargo hold that I have specifically for sandwiches.
See, this is cute and clever marketing, but there really is no role playing in this game. And I'm no longer 5 years old. It's been a while since I was 5. Maybe back then I had a better imagination and I'd be more impressed by this, but I needed something more. So even watching this part of the video way back when it came out, I was like rolling my eyes a bit, because you really can't be evil in this game. So if you can't be evil, like why be a pirate? Because newsflash, being a pirate, pretty evil, pretty bad actually, but there's no meat to it. So sure, you could collect sandwiches, and that sandwiches are objects that you could like drop. So that's like neat, but does it serve anything? Does it add to the game? No, it does not. Why do I care about being able to collect 100 sandwiches in my space game when I'd rather do more space-related stuff? Why are you acting as if there's like role-playing possibilities when the answer is to fight or to not fight? Sometimes, kind of, sort of. I don't know, man.
The thing I love most about Starfield is that it is a Bethesda game through and through.
I kind of, sort of. Look, when I think of Bethesda games, I think of mediocre writing, shallow world building, but a lot of fun exploration and the sense of having an adventure that's like pretty curated too, and like a lot of stuff. Like you could head to a direction and you're going to find a lot of stuff. In this game, you can't really just head into a direction and find stuff. There's a limited amount of side quests. Really, at the 50-hour mark, I was like scratching my head on like, what do I do that's outside of the guild quests and the main storyline? And man, if you can't do that right as a Bethesda game, like what are you even doing?
It's really about going to strange new places, meeting interesting people, and getting sidetracked on zany adventures. Then realizing 2 hours later that you're involved in a completely new story.
See, I wish this was true. And this is like the most believable part of this presentation. I was like, okay, I know Bethesda has all these flaws, but like, yeah, this is going to be on point because I have so many critiques of Skyrim and even Oblivion and whatever. If you watch any H-Bomber guy video where he covers Bethesda, I basically agree with all that. But like, yeah, they're gonna do that where I could just turn my mind off, meet some people and do that. And this quest in particular is really bad. Yeah, that quest involves you find a like much older ship that was built before faster than light travel. So they've been traveling for years in this colony ship that's like very small, but whatever. And the biggest sin is that like they didn't change in the assets or the design of the ship. They're using all the same tools and have all the same structure and design of the ship that you would find literally anywhere else. But that doesn't make any sense because this is supposed to be like an older ship. So why does it look the same? Why are these people acting the same? Like, come on, man. Not everything has to be Kingdom Come Deliverance where it's like so thought out and so grounded in the time period and the place. But that quest was such a that was one of the quests where I was like, oh, y'all are just phoning it in. Y'all don't give a shit at all about telling a good story or making a fun game. Like, come on. Like, I could only suspend my disbelief so much.
We want you to feel like explorers, breaking ground on new planets, exploring every inch of a mostly untouched galaxy.
Mostly untouched, and yet they all have some kind of settlement on them. They all got like spacers. Spacers like is the generic enemy you fight. It's either spacers or the pirates, but there's not. That's literally there's two factions, man. Bethesda with all their might and money and all the people. You have two types of people that you could shoot randomly, and there's no lore really of like the spacers are literally just guys. There's no explanation for them. They're just spacers. And the Crimson Guard, that's also it. They're a unified pirate. There's not even other pirate groups. Why is there only one pirate group?
You know, we put so much detail into our game worlds, and we love the opportunity to bring that into the real world.
16 times the detail. 16 times the detail. 16 times the detail.
And for this game, we've done a watch.
Sell us the merchandise. That is what you're here for, Todd Howard. You would sell so many cars if you're a car salesman. Oh my God. And that is actually kind of a compliment, a backhanded one. You really are, because I was such a big skeptic and such a big critic of Bethesda. I was like, you know what? After watching this video, I think you're selling it to me. And boy, was I sold. But yeah. Looking back, this is so transparent. A fucking watch. But this actually, I don't think I could really shit talk too properly. I do appreciate the hustle. You know, you're out to make money, and the watch is pretty nice.
After that, we have the system that adds interesting locations for the player to explore, creatures to encounter, ore and plants to pick up. It allows us to add that touch of environmental storytelling that Bethesda is known for.
Very little environmental storytelling, which is a big surprise when I was playing the game. And it's just limited. If this was an indie game, if this was a game made by, I don't know, the same people who made Painted Grail Fall of Avalon, I would be way more charitable to this game. I'd still have many of the same critiques of it, but I'd be like, okay, well, it was made by like 50 people. They're very ambitious, maybe too ambitious for their own good. Having as little interesting things to do in the game world is just inexcusable. Environmental storytelling? What environmental storytelling? It's so rare that I was able to look at an environment they made and like get a story out of it, even an implied one.
When we were concepting these creatures, we really wanted to think of them as natural to the environment. We didn't want alien monsters. We wanted native wildlife. Something you've never seen before.
And they're all bugs, and they don't really fit with the environments. And look, that's just like, it brings it back. Why 1,000 planets? Why? It's just like an arbitrary number. If you did a smaller amount of planets, you'd be able to handcraft the flora and fauna for those planets. I would have loved just a single solar system. That would make so much more sense. But they didn't do that. And instead we got this with just a whole bunch of bugs that appear everywhere. And while this is not like a lie per se in a like legal sense, there's no truth here. Like what? Oh yeah, we like handcrafted. Well, they didn't say handcrafted, but like, yeah, we made these animals to fit their planets. No, you didn't. I played the game. No, you didn't.
Our biggest goal for lighting with Starfield was to make the game feel more filmic, to use lighting and color to really make it feel more cinematic.
Ironically enough, I've seen mods that remove their color filters, and to me, it looks better. I guess that's just like a preference thing. But yeah, even that is like, are you sure about that, buddy? I don't think so. I don't like how you did the color grading here, but that is a more subjective opinion than anything else.
After some exploring, you can find a spot to set up a base camp. Outposts can be built almost anywhere on any planet.
I did not engage with the outpost system at all. I've heard it had also flaws with it being kind of like pointless and tedious, but this is a part of the game that I just cannot talk about my own experiences at all because I was not interested in it at all.
You can also choose to go hands-on with melee weapons.
And the melee combat. Okay, so I understand it's primarily a shooter, but I am the kind of person who, for whatever reason, I like being a Jedi. And spoilers, I guess, but you do get some Jedi powers in the main plot of the game. So even though I know it's not really what the game is designed for, they do have melee combat, and it fucking sucked. But it didn't need to suck because Cyberpunk also has melee combat when it's primarily a shooter, and that combat was very fun. There was like 4 or 5 different melee weapons. There's no variety to them. And some melee weapons are just like, they're objectively better than the others. So you can't even have like a really good knife and like a weak katana. It's like that katana or whatever is like going to be the strongest one you have. So very boring and just like very clunky. And, you know, sure, maybe comparing it like, so Bethesda is a game company that I feel comfortable comparing to CD Projekt Red, but let's take that a step further. The melee combat in Tainted Grail, which is made by basically an indie studio, feels way better than Starfield or frankly even like Skyrim. So it sucks. So here's the thing. After watching this, I was like, cool, they have melee combat and they have a dialogue system that you can sort of like debate people with and sort of like get your point across that way and maybe skip combat encounters. So after watching this, I was like, okay, what I want to do is I want to build a character that is a debate bro. That is to say, I want to build a character who was primarily a talker first, and when talking didn't lead to anything, I would smash you on the head with a heavy object or something sharp. I'd poke you in the eye. And that's all I wanted to do. I wanted to put on a podcast, explore some planets, just kind of like turn my brain off and do whatever and debate people and stab them when debating didn't work. Low expectations. I think that was fair expectations to have given the advertising material, and it falls flat. You have these like 3-hit combos and that's it. And also the combos are different depending on like third person or first person. It's not seamless at all. It's the opposite of seamless. I'm trying to think of the word. So yeah, unnecessary L to take right here. What are they even doing? And it's like Bethesda, why are you sucking at melee combat? The Elder Scrolls is almost all about melee combat, besides the magic and the archery.
And I think we sort of err on the side of like, what's fun for the player?
I wish you erred on what's fun for the player. This is not fun, really, at all. You whatever balance you try to achieve, you're neither not Hollywood and cinematic, and certainly not simulation. Come on.
It's more dynamic, the animations are more fluid.
I will say shooting does feel the best they've done in any other games, even though mainly I didn't do too much gunplay because I like to role play as someone who can't aim for shit. But unfortunately, that is hampered greatly by the enemy AI. It's like, okay, sure, the shooting itself feels good, but the enemy AI is very stupid. And having recently played The Last of Us Part 2, which is a high bar to set, admittedly, not many games have as smart as AI as Naughty Dog makes. But like, man, these enemies are really dumb. Really, really dumb.
It just feels great.
We probably have more mods and more weapons in this game than I want to say any other game we've done before.
You have 5 melee weapons, and also, I forget who did it. Was it Radicaster? One person did a video talking about exactly how many like unique weapons they had, not just like variants of the weapons. There's not that many weapons, y'all. especially with energy weapons got short-staffed for sure. Yeah, so this is just like, there's no way you can't say it's like a lie because like, oh, well, how many weapons is like a lot of weapons, right? Like that's up to interpretations. But like while playing, it's like, no, the weapon variety is really lackluster. There's very few like unique weapons given through quests and whatever. So yeah, I'm just gonna call you out on your bullshit right here.
Upgraded gear is just one of the many factors to pay attention to when engaging in combat.
You can't upgrade the melee weapons. Why? Am I being unreasonable here? You cannot upgrade the melee weapons. Why? Like, yeah, sure. You can't even sharpen a sword or nothing. Come on, man. Like, don't have the melee weapons if you're gonna neglect them this hard.
Zero gravity environments pose a different challenge. Firing a ballistic weapon in zero G will actually push you backwards. Energy weapons, on the other hand, offer a more stable shooting experience.
See, very cool in concept and actually done pretty okay. Just not enough zero G sections. Cool, finally, something you're doing right and you don't do it enough. And the space powers, which I enjoy. They're basically just the shouts from Skyrim, but I like them. Some people didn't. But I had fun being a Jedi and using the various powers to supplement the kind of boring melee combat. It was neat. I don't want to talk about the story in this video for spoilers, even though it really doesn't spoil anything. I don't think you should play this game.
I know there was probably a lot to take in. There's a lot to the game, even more than we could show here.
Not really. Actually, even looking back now, showing all the different environmental designs, that's kind of it. This entire video, while showing the various planets and sort of the environments that could happen on those planets, that's it, man. That's it. There's no like deep forest or these like vast swaths of sand or tundra or oceans. It really is like what you saw is what you get, which does make this sort of true in the sense of like there is more that they didn't show, but it's also just more of the same. So he's not wrong there. It's like, oh yeah, there's so much we didn't show you. But yeah, but that's because you have 1,000 planets that are all bullshit. It's like, well, what can I say to that, Mr. Todd Howard?
The word that comes to mind is vast.
Vast and empty, much like space itself. But unfortunately, this is a video game. I was expecting something to be less empty. This is not a deep philosophical game where the emptiness is like the point. This is a AAA Hollywood-esque action adventure game with a little bit of like role-playing elements. So yeah, off the mark.
I just love that constant feel of discovery and wow, I can't believe that there's more here.
And that is just wrong. I know it's your baby. I know you worked on it. And I know you're literally getting paid to say these things, not faulting you at all for it. I'm sure this person's nice and good and whatever. But yeah, so like my enjoyment of the game was really interesting because like I was open-minded and willing to see what it was on its own terms for maybe like the first 10 hours. And for the first 10 hours or so, I was like, okay, I'm kind of getting a vibe. And I wanted more. But after that, it's like, whoa, yeah, that is actually it. And that's when, me trying to enjoy this game in good faith, have fun with this game and appreciate it for what it is. And it's really shallow. And it's shallow in a way that I thought was not possible. It was shallow where I was already expecting a shallow game. This was well below that. In fact, I felt a bit ripped off.
You spent all this time building your ship and you see it on the landing pad. These things are gigantic. It's the kind of thing that you just can't get anywhere else.
Now that is cool. Like designing your ship and seeing it in real life, or not real life, but rather like in the game, like you're coming from the ship design menu and then you see it on the landing pad. That is a cool feeling. I just wish it was better. I just wish it was better. Man, all these ideas are just so cool. And in the hands of a more competent management team. Like clearly all the developers and all the artists, they're talented and they're passionate. And that's like the shame of it all, that all these problems have to be from like just management and corporate bullshittery, right?
It's what you've come to expect from a Bethesda title, but on a much bigger scale.
I want smaller games. I want more focused games. Stop giving me big bloated messes of nothing. Please, man, I am still anticipating the next Elder Scrolls, but I'm anticipating it in a very negative way. I hope my assumptions and biases are proven wrong. I would love that, but I do not have any faith, and mostly because how they handled the negative reception to this game. They just dug in and were like, "Nah, our shit don't stink." But unfortunately, it do be a bit stinky. So yeah, they're gonna go bigger and louder for the next game, I'm sure, and it's gonna suck. I hope I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong. But come on, like fool me once, fool me twice, fool me the third time. Come on, man. Like I know I'm a fool, but I'm not an idiot, and there is a distinction there.
On behalf of all of us, we can't wait for you to play Starfield and make your own special moments.
Main engines go. Good luck, Constellation. You are go for launch.
So yeah, that was the Starfield Direct, which aired a few months before the release of the game, and which was convincing enough to me to actually buy it on day one. And do I regret buying it on day one? Not really, because Bethesda is a really important studio in the gaming sphere, and regardless of the quality, I was curious. I'll probably do the same with their next game, The Elder Scrolls 6. But I was actually hopeful that the game would be just mediocre. Like that was my expectations. I was like, yeah, it's just going to be something shallow for me to turn off my brain, but it'll be fun enough to put on a podcast, and I could just like level up and find new gear and loot and like have some fun combat experiences, and that'll be fine. That's all I need from Bethesda. I don't need a Baldur's Gate. I don't need a Cyberpunk. I don't need a Kingdom Come Deliverance. I wish they could achieve higher goals than what they're doing and what they've done before. But I played Oblivion, I played Skyrim. Sadly, never played Morrowind. I played their Fallout games. I thought I had reasonable expectations, and it does suck when you're like, wow, my expectations were low and still disappointed. That's how I felt about this game, and I don't like being negative too much on my channel. I lie. I do like being negative. I do have fun being a hater, but for the most part, like I don't cover any Ubisoft games because they're like boring and they're mediocre and they're just not interesting to me. And I could boot up the latest Assassin's Creed game and talk shit about that, but like would I have fun? No. But for whatever reason, I can't explain it. Talking shit about Bethesda is fun for me. I think in part because their response to criticism has been so bad where I feel like it's okay for me to be mean back. Like Shattered Space released their first and only DLC for this game, and like even people who really like Bethesda, like Mr. Matty Plays, who I like, even though I disagree with his takes sometimes, he really likes Bethesda way more than I do, and even he was like disappointed with it. And these motherfuckers at Bethesda were like, actually, this is like the best DLC we ever made, and y'all are just wrong. Versus like FromSoft, who released Shadow of the Erdtree, which is this giant DLC on par with Phantom Liberty from Cyberpunk. And, you know, like reading interviews with the director from Shadow of the Erdtree, this amazing expansion, just really good. I still have some flaws with it, but like really like, wow, there's so much gain to this game and artistically just so fulfilling. And you know what, in those interviews, the director was like, I could do better. I'll do better next time, you know, which I love as an artist. Cause like, you know, artists, we tend to be really hard on ourselves, maybe even unnecessarily so. It's a hard industry out there. But, you know, that humility and that desire to be better made me just like love everyone involved in Elden Ring and FromSoft just so much more. It's like, here you are, you're making one of the best modern expansions to one of the best games ever. I love Elden Ring. And you're still like, I'll do better next time. Versus Bethesda, which made really, I think that this is like one of their weakest games. And they made a particularly bad DLC that was not worth the $30 that I spent on it. Their response to the criticism was like, no, you're wrong. So like, yeah, fuck Bethesda. And like I said in the beginning of this video, if you like Starfield, and I mean this from my heart, like good for you. Like that's not like me being sarcastic. Like I wish this game worked for me. I wish this game worked for me on any level. If you found enjoyment, that is so cool. And I don't want to take that away from you. There are good aspects of the game. It's very pretty. And there are a lot of cool ideas there. I just wish it was better. But yeah, thank you for tuning in. This was a very ranty video. I just thought it would be fun to do a retrospective on this because it made me hyped for this game. And yeah, I'm the Rat Shepherd. I hope to see you around for the next video. Take care, y'all. Bye.